We will now continue with the setup for dropping items into the world. In the last episode, we prepared the item actor and part of the logic. In this lecture, we will finalize that setup, and we continue inside BP item base. First, we remove the temporary iron axe mesh from item static mesh, because BP_item base is only a generic item drop actor, and we want to load the mesh later depending on which item this actor should actually represent. For that, select item static mesh and click the small reset arrow next to static mesh, so it goes back to the default empty value. Then switch to the event graph, because we now need a new custom event that will be responsible for loading the mesh. Name this event load mesh from item. Now we of course need to know which mesh should be loaded. For that, drag item data asset into the graph as a get node, call load asset blocking on it, and connect it to the event. This loads the reference data asset immediately, so we can directly access the item data we need for the visual setup. For this simple workflow, that is completely fine, because it keeps the logic easy to follow and gives us the asset right away. We will first set this up with our item DA hammer, so open that asset now. Here I changed the item ID from hammer to axe, which does not make much sense at the moment, so just ignore that for now. What we actually care about is the parent class PDA item data, so click the edit icon at the top and open that parent data asset. Here we already use several interface functions from BPI asset. Now we want to extend that interface, so open the BPI asset interface and create a new function named getStaticMesh, which we will use to return the resolved static mesh for the item. Mark this function as const, because it only reads data and returns a value, and that makes it clear that this function does not modify the asset in any way. Then add an output named static mesh of type static mesh object reference, which will return the resolved mesh from a soft object reference. Compile and save the interface, then go back to PDA_item data. Here you will now see the new interface function automatically available. Open it so we can configure it. Now we need to know which mesh this item should use. So create a new variable named item static mesh of type static mesh soft object reference, which gives us a flexible way to assign the mesh in the data asset without forcing it to stay loaded all the time. Now drag item static mesh into the graph as a get node. Call load asset blocking on it, and connect the resolved reference to the static mesh output on the return node. So this function loads the mesh from the soft reference and directly returns the resolved static mesh when we need it. Compile and save, and this part is done. Now switch over to the DA hammer item and set item static mesh to the iron axe. Then I also update the icon to the iron axe texture. After that, I change the item name from hammer to iron axe as well. We leave the item ID on hammer. Even though it does not matter here right now, the ID should not just be changed casually, because it is often used for references in other places. Now this part is set up correctly. Next, go back to the BP_item base blueprint. Here, after load asset blocking, call getStaticMesh message on the return value, which now takes the soft object reference for the static mesh, resolves it, and returns the finished static mesh that we can directly use. Then drag item static mesh into the graph and call setStaticMesh on it. Connect the static mesh output to the new mesh pin, which applies the resolved mesh to our item static mesh component so the dropped item can visually represent the correct item. With that, our simple event function to load the mesh for the item is ready, and now it is time to actually use it. Select the item data asset variable and set its replication to rep notify, which means the variable is replicated over the network, and whenever it changes on a client, Unreal automatically calls the matching onRep function so we can react to that update. Now open the onRep_item data asset function and call load mesh from item there, which ensures that whenever item data asset is replicated to a client, the correct mesh is loaded there as well. This is important in multiplayer, so every client sees the correct dropped item mesh. Finally, so this also works directly here in the editor and in the world preview, open the construction script and call load mesh from item there too, which makes the mesh appear immediately in the editor whenever item data asset is already assigned. That way, we do not only handle runtime replication, but also get proper visual feedback while placing items in the level. If we now switch to the map view, you will notice that the axe is no longer visible, and BP_item base appears empty. Select it in the outliner and set item data asset to DA hammer, and now the axe appears again. That happens because BP_item base itself is only the generic drop actor, and once we assign valid item data, it can resolve the correct mesh and show the visual representation again. Now if we want, we can also create a dedicated blueprint for each individual item. For that, right-click BP_item base and choose Create Child Blueprint class. Name it BP_item_iron axe. Then open it and set item data asset to DA hammer, so we can already see the correct preview here as well. This child class could later contain additional logic that only belongs to the axe. Since BP_item base still remains the parent class, it will continue to work as the shared world item base and provide all the core functionality. Also set quantity to 1 here, although it would be better to define that directly in BP_item base, the parent class. We will adjust that a bit later. I simply forgot it here at this point. Now we can drag BP_item_iron axe into the level, and we directly have our axe placed in the world. The BP_item base actor can now be removed from the level, because from here on we only want to use it as the generic parent for all item drops. Now we start play mode to test it. We can already see the item lying on the ground. Next, we walk over to it and try to pick it up. Right now, it is a little difficult to hit the item properly, because we still do not have a crosshair, and the character is positioned in a slightly awkward way for this kind of interaction. To make this easier, we go into the player character and move the camera a little. In our case, this is the follow camera. Select it, and move it on the y-axis by 60 to the right, so we get a better view of the ground. Now start play mode again and test it one more time. This time, we can aim at the item much more easily, but still, nothing seems to happen. However, when we open the inventory, we can see that we already picked up the item 3 times. That means we still have 2 errors in the system. First, this was not the main issue, but before we forget it, let us fix it now. Go into the item base blueprint and set the default value of quantity directly here to 1. So all items always have at least a quantity of 1 when we pick them up. Now if we test it again, the item still remains in the world, but inside the inventory we can now at least see the axe correctly added, and we can also use it there. Now to the actual problem, which is that the item does not disappear. This error is inside the add item to inventory function in the player character. The first mistake is that we forgot to return successfully as true on the true execution path when the item was correctly added to the main inventory, because that is the signal that tells the world item actor that the pickup worked and that it can now delete itself. So now we test it again. Start play mode and pick up the item. And yes, it still does not disappear, and the reason is also very clear here. If I say that it should return successfully as true, then I also need to actually enable the checkbox on the return node to true. The second mistake is in the fallback path where the item should be added to the hotbar if the inventory is full. Here, we also need to pass item to add into that function. Otherwise the function does not know which item it is supposed to add. Before we test this again, go back to the item base blueprint and set the scale of item static mesh to 2, so the item is easier to see in the world and not too small. Now we try it one more time in play mode. We pick up the axe, and there we go. The iron axe is added to the inventory and disappears from the world. With that, we now finish the minimal setup for picking up world items. In the next episode, we will finalize the whole system so we can also drop items out of the inventory back into the world, pick them up again, make it work for all items, and also make sure it behaves correctly with multiple clients in multiplayer. Until then, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.